Hello friends, welcome back to our channel Hi-Fi Study for You. Today in this video we are going to talk about mathematics, a very important topic, and that is number system. Its origin is actually from the maths. Why its origin is from the maths? Let's talk about this. Because number we all are knowing, but if I ask you first question, what a number is? So what a number is? These are nothing but the numerical values. What a number? If I ask you what a number, these are nothing but the numerical symbols of maths which represents digit. Again term, a new term, digit. You all are familiar with this. Digit. What digit is? D plus IT. Digit, right? So what a digit is now? Digit are also such symbols which if I tell you 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on to infinity. Also on the negative side and positive side. This is what we call a digit. Right? We all are knowing. Just we are giving a different name to the same phenomena which we already discussed, and we are knowing these things. So this is what a number and digit is. In this number system, what we talk about, different kinds of number. We also have different types of number. We are knowing about them, just we have different types, names for these applications. Now let's talk about this number system. Before that, there are also some values are present. So values, like if I talk about the face value and place value, they are very easy, but I want to recall that the face value, I want to ask that what's the face value of 4? The number 4. What's the face value of 4? Very easy. The face value of it will be 4. If I ask you 2, it will be 2. Means the number itself. It means the face. Right? We are knowing that the number itself will be the face value of that particular number. Now the second value which we found here of numbers, that is the place value. What a place value is? Now this term indicates totally place value, the value of its place. If I tell you a number, a big number actually, and I will ask for the place value. The number is 43948. Any random number. Now we have to find the face value of this number, of each digit, knowing that this is whole forms a number and the particular unit is a digit. Right? Now what's the face value? Face value of 8 will be automatically 8. Face value is something if any number is present in which place, if how much numbers are present in front of it, that number is going to form 0. Let me for 4. What is the face value of 4? There are one number after 4, that is 8. So 4 0. The 8 will become 0. Then 9 900, because there are two numbers now. Next 3, it will become 3 zeros, 3 digits. Next 4, it will become 4 digits, because there are 4 digits against it. This is how we will find the place value and the face value of a particular number. Now let's moving on. This is about the introduction part of a number. How can we find values? These are very easy. Now let's talk about the kinds of number. Actually few of us are familiar about them, but there are also difference. So what kinds of numbers which we see? The first the very first type is the integers. The very first type is integer. What an integer is? We are knowing that all the positive numbers and all the negative numbers including 0 are the integer. It extends to all direction, to the both direction on the number line, right? In this it will be 1, 2 and so on to the infinity including 0, and here -1, -2, -3 to the infinity. It don't have any endpoint, just extending and extending infinitely. This is what an integer is, right? And all the numbers are considered under integers apart from the fraction problem. Now this is an integer. Now let's move on to the second kind of number, and that is the whole number. Whole means a complete form, right? And whole number actually starts from 0 to infinity. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and finally to infinity don't have any endpoint. But they only include positive and also include 0. But they don't include negative part. Alright, means from 0 to infinity. These are the whole numbers, right? Now this is what an integer and whole number is. Now let's move to the next type of numbers. Next type of number, or the third type of number, is rational numbers, which we see. Okay, rational numbers. So what are rational numbers? As I also make a separated video of rational number, you can see from that in the playlist. Now what are rational numbers? They are actually all kinds of numbers which you can represent in the form of P by Q, where this denominator, this is numerator, right? This is denominator. Their denominator should not be equal to 0. This is what a rational number tells you. Alright, now we know what a rational number is. Alright, a single number, even all whole numbers are also considered as, including 0, are also rational numbers. Because 0 is on the numerator side, but in denominator it will be 1. So it is not equal to 0. So it means 0 is also a rational number. You can write it as 0 by 1. Okay? And all that integers, all integers are also rational number. Now let's move to the next. Next is very easy, which we start from the first levels, and that is even and odd numbers. Even numbers and odd, I will consider it in the same category. What are even numbers? Even numbers are those numbers which can divisible by the number 2. All which can divisible by 2. Odd numbers on the other hand, the opposite of the 8, which cannot divisible by 2, which cannot divisible by 2. Okay, so these are the even and odd numbers. If we take examples like even numbers divisible by like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, moving on, right? These are the even numbers. And odd numbers which are not divisible like 1, 3, 5, 7 and 11 and 9. Alright, these are the odd numbers. Now let's move further to the next type. Next type is the prime numbers. Prime numbers, they also have an opposite. So prime numbers are actually those kinds of numbers which are only divisible by the number itself and 1. Let me explain you this thing. Okay, so like let's take an example of a prime number 3, or the smallest prime number, which is 2. Okay. So now if you want to divide 2, from which you will divide? You know that 1 divides all numbers, right? So you can divide it by 1. Next thing, you can divide it by 2. You can divide it by 2 itself. But rather than that, 2 is not multiple of any number. So it is a prime number. And the smallest prime number is 2. And all this is considered in the number system. Okay. Now after prime numbers, the next we got is the composite number. Composite. What are composite numbers? Just opposite to prime numbers, as even and odd, vice versa. So composite numbers are those numbers which can divisible by apart from itself, the number itself and 1, they are divisible by other number too. Let's take an example. It will be very simple. So 4, a composite number, because 4 can divisible by 1. For all numbers are divisible by 1 and the number itself. So now 4 can also be divisible by, if you recall, just very easy, it is divisible by 2 times. Okay, so it means it is a composite number. Now let's move to the next type. Next type, or the 7th type of number, that is the coprime number. Coprime. This coprime number. What are the coprime numbers? Coprime numbers are those kinds of numbers which there is composition of 2 numbers, of which the HCF is 1. Means 2 numbers. Let's suppose x and y. And if their HCF, highest common factor, is 1, if their HCF, highest common factor, is 1, they are considered as the coprime numbers. If we take examples like 15 and 16, these both numbers are the coprime numbers, because if you take the HCF of both, you will got 1 as the HCF. Alright, this is all the types of this. Now before that, there are also, if we extend more, then there are also other types of numbers, like if we talk about like irrational numbers. Irrational number, which is just the opposite of a rational number. They actually can be determined as P by Q. Here Q could be equal to 0 and all that. Right? They can't be P by Q. So these irrational numbers are present there, and repetition is also present there. So this is just the opposite of this rational number, which is the irrational number. Now also we found real numbers. Real numbers are actually all these numbers. They could be integer, whole numbers, rational, even, odd just considered into that. They can be prime, composite and all that. These are the real numbers. Now this is the introduction part of the number system. Before that, there are few parts which we will cover, and after that we will practice what we have learned and challenge ourselves. Okay, now let me rub the board. Next thing which you find in number system, to solve, there are some, a kind of format to solve the problem in the number system by the value of a format which is called the V BODMAS, right? V BODMAS, right? Can you see? V BODMAS, right? This is actually present to solve the format of given problem under the number system. Now in this, B means brackets. Actually brackets are of many types. Bracket can be, which we found in maths, like this, they can be like this, and they can be like this. Alright, first you have to solve the smaller bracket, then you have to solve this curved bracket, then you have to solve the larger bracket. In the question, if these given, And if this is given, so first and second you have to solve this, right? So there are also specific names of these brackets. So this bracket is called the smaller bracket or the circular bracket. It is known as the circular bracket. This is known as the square bracket, which is the most largest in all that I can see. This is the curly bracket. Curly, right? Means curved. This is called the curly bracket. Now these are considered under the brackets which we found in this all the format to solve the problems considered under the number system. Alright, first we have to solve what is problem is given in the brackets, then we move to the next. Now these are brackets we know now. Now after that we have O. O refers to of, which is nothing but the multiplication sign. Alright, we will solve question based on all that. Now this is division for D, then multiplication, addition, and at last we have to solve subtraction. In a question if it is given, first you have to solve bracket, then you have to solve this of, then you have to solve division, then you have to solve multiplication, addition, last subtraction. This is the format how you will follow the rules. Now there is also one more thing which is called the divisibility test. There is also like divisibility test. Divisibility test is actually, there will be in question what will given, a number is given and you are asked to find that this number is divisible by 2, 3, 4 or any number or not. You have to immediately see the answer. You can't just do all that calculation, right? You have to immediately answer the question. So what it will be? So all the numbers which are divisible by 2, what's the rules? So 2 will be divisible by those numbers in which the unique digit of that number must be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and this. If that number containing at units place these numbers, it will be divisible by definitely by 2. I'm taking a random number or largest number. Let me take 9, 0 and 7, 9, 3, 5, 8 and at last I'm taking 6, 5, 1 and 8. You can see how big this number is, and I am actually asked to find that this number is divisible by 2 or not, and I can immediately say yes, this number is divisible by 2. How? Because I am knowing the format, because I am knowing that 2 is divisible by those numbers in which the number containing the units place as the value of 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, 8. Here it is. Okay, this is how we can find. Alright, now number system makes the problem easy. Now let's move to the next, which is the 3. If it is asked, find whether this number is divisible by 3 or not. Alright, let's check for 3. If we check for 3, then we will find that in 3, the format is like, if any number is given, if its addition is divisible by 3, the number will automatically be divisible by 3. Let me take an example. Suppose we are knowing that 27 is divisible by 3, but suppose we are not knowing that 27 is divisible by 3 or not. Okay, so I am taking the number 27. I told you the format, that if the number's addition or the sum of that number is divisible by 3, the number automatically be divisible by 3. So let's apply and substitute the value. 2 plus 7, you got 9. We know 9 is divisible by 3 times, and you automatically can say yes, this number is divisible by 3. Now the problem is very easy now. Alright, So means the sum of that number, I am taking x plus y, should be divisible by 3. So the number automatically divisible by 3. Right? This is what we had learned till now. Next, 4. Which number will divisible by 4? If you take the multiples of 4, you will find that all the numbers are divisible by 4 if the right-handed 2 digits sum is divisible by 4 or not. Right? Let's take a simple example. You have to suppose only, like the 3 number which we suppose. Right? Now let's suppose 16. Alright? And we know that 4 is actually divisible by those numbers from which the right hand side is divisible by or not. Right? And this is which we learnt in the 4 format. Now let's move to the further. If we talk about 5, then we know the units place must contain, for 5 must contain 0 and 5. Right? And if I take any such a big number, 2, 0, 8, 5, 7, 9, 3 and 0, I can automatically say this number is divisible by 5 because at the end there is 0 which is divisible by 5. Okay. Now after this is what's actually called the divisibility test, which actually like a very important role player in solving the question. Now let's move to the further. Now the next common thing, okay, is that you are knowing that a division problem is like this. Okay, is like this. This is actually like this. Let's take two numbers. You have to divide 5 by 38. Okay, have to divide 5 by 38. You are knowing, right? I'm just substituting the values. 7s are 5, 7s are 35. You got 3 as the remainder. Okay, we solved this. Now what I am trying to tell you is that they have different numbers. These numbers have different names, right? The number here 5, the number from which you are dividing any number, you have dividing this 38 from 5, that number is actually have a different name, and this number is called the divisor. This number is called the divisor. And from which you are dividing here 38, this is called the dividend. This is called the dividend. And the answer which you got is called the quotient, and the remainder which you got, most likely here is present 0, but now here is 3 and 0 is also kind of remainder. So which remaining part from out of that short bit of calculation? So this is remainder, which you can relate this, which reminds you for answer, right? There is one more formula to solve this if question is given. This is the question time. Alright, this the very first question. If the question is given that suppose you are not knowing 38. I had first told you, but you are not knowing 38, and here it is given that divisor is 5, quotient is 7, remainder is 3. Find the dividend. How do you find? There is a very easy kind of formula which is given that says dividend will be always equals to divisor. I am indicating D for divisor. Okay, dividend I had written spelling. Okay, so dividend multiplied by Q for quotient, Q plus remainder. It will be always equal. Let's substitute and verify this formula whether it is right or it is telling wrong to us. Okay, so the divisor is here 5 into 7 plus 3. Alright, we have substituted the value 5 into 7, you got 35, 35 plus 3, you got 38. Yes, I got the answer. 38 is the is the dividend of this division problem, which we are right. This is 35 our answer. And so this is formula which you have to keep in mind if these kinds of questions come up in this number system. Now let's move to the further type of question. This is actually that board mass question and I am so excited. And this question is 3/4. Solve this with me. 3/4 of 2/5 of 1/5 of 5/60 is equals to what? This is the question is given. Now you have to find. Just it is very easy question. You have to replace off by this multiplication sign and solve this answer. It is very easy, right? And instead of this 5, we can take another number which is actually more complicated, because 5 here is 5 and here is also. Then you will ask that it is easy. We have to take more complicated. So let's take here a 7. Alright, I am taking 7. Now let's solve this together. So 3/4 multiplied by 2/7 multiplied by 1/5 multiplied by 5/60. Now you have to solve this. This sign can come because 3 dots. In the books you also see this. Now when you solve this, first you know that 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4. Very easy. You have to solve this calculation and cut that. It will become very easy for you, right? You got 3 into 1, 3 by, you got 7 into 2, 14. 3/14 multiplied by 1/5 multiplied by 5/60. Right? Now next time. Next, you can cut 560 by 5, because you are knowing that the number in which units place is 0 and 5, you can cut that by 5, means that number is divisible by 5. Let's cut finally. 1, then you got 1, then you got 2. 1, 1, 2. Then 1, 1, 2. And then when you do calculation, you got 7, you got here 5 and you got 56. Now, yes, 7 is 56. You cut this by 8 and finally you are left with 3 and 8. And when you solve this, you got the answer. You got 24. Right? Now, finally we got the answer as 24. 24 is the answer of this question. You have to just multiply all this digits and cut and do a short bit of calculation and you can find the answer. Now let's move to the last question and we will end this session. Last question is actually very important. That is, you have to tell that question is given, if you add 3/5 plus 3/5 means 3/5 25 times repetitively, what you get? Means 25 times. If you finally just here, if you are not knowing the format, it will be like, if I will write 2 upon 5 25 times and do this addition, the board will cover the whole. So the simple format here is, and the formula is that the number itself and multiplied by 25. So 3/5 multiplied by 25, you got 5 and the answer will be 15. 3 into 5. Now this is the last question which we have solved, and if here another question can become like 40 times, 80 times, you have to just multiply that number. Alright, let's do for 40. I'm enjoying this, okay? So 3/5 into 40. So yes, 8 times. And when you do this, you got 24. 8 3s are 24. So this is the answer for 40 times, right? Now this is the last question. Now we are ending the session of number system. So for watching this, thank you, and you have to, realizing and practice more and more to master this. Okay, so thank you.